Welcome, everyone, to the Winning Together podcast. This is Shay, the Shark Aslet, and I've got Amber, the Aqua Woman of being awesome. Lee, how are you, Amber?
I am so grateful to be here. This is actually my first time in this building, and it's beautiful. I love this whole squad in here. You guys are great.
We give our best, and we find ways to win together, and we generate some pretty big magic here. Thank you for noticing. Appreciate that.
Yeah, definitely noticed.
You know, one of the working titles we thought about today was "The Super Bowl is Sexy," and I've just noticed so often if you're looking for something to watch and it says, "Hey, Euphoria," and that's the title of the movie or the TV show, it's about the opposite.
Not euphoric.
At all. Or if it's titled Happy Valley, it's not about any happiness whatsoever. Maybe in the valley, but not that. And in getting ready to meet with you, and I'll have you introduce yourself here and set us up, I didn't know that the Super Bowl was the largest sex trafficking event in the world, on the planet.
Most people don't. It shocks people when they hear that, and a lot of people ask why. And that's a very loaded question.
Whew, for sure, because that is a rabbit hole that opens up so much. Okay, so do you want to talk about Amber Lee 2022 and where you're going? Do you want to give us some background history? What feels good to kind of focus on for you?
I think a little bit of background history is important to understand first, but I definitely want to focus on who I am now because I don't necessarily identify with the was. I was rescued from human trafficking by local Utah law enforcement in 2016. Quickly found my way into a prison cell intentionally based upon my mental health and stability. So the process has been long. Healing has taken a long time. I'm sitting here thinking about the years, and we're 6 years in. And I've done as much work as humanly possible, both with insurance and with pro bono work and many, many other avenues. And it still continues. This is going to be a forever thing, and I acknowledge that. So the me today is usually what people want to talk about. And this is a new me, so I don't always know how to describe her. But I have made it my mission to be in this fight with anti-trafficking. Aftercare support comes very, very naturally for me because I know what it took for myself, and I was able to identify the weak spots in our society where we are dropping the ball consistently. But I also have another passion, and that is, I call it monster hunting. And it's definitely what helps me sleep at night. So I've returned back to school after 16 years. I feel really old when I say that out loud. Yeah, after 16 years returning to college, having to start from scratch because apparently your credits have an expiration date. So here I am at a community college what am I, almost 40, for computer science with an emphasis in ethical hacking and programming. My intention is the safest way to weaponize myself in this fight. And I understand that it's tech.
Here's the deal, anyone listening. Good men and women are dangerous people.
I've got a hoodie that says "Stay Dangerous" on it. I learned a lot. Both good and bad.
Stay dangerous.
Always.
Tell me more.
Yeah. Okay. So, this sweatshirt was made by a veteran. He was a Marine, and he's in the anti-trafficking fight. I found that relating with veterans is really easy for me to do. Out of all the populations, this is the population where I don't feel like I have to describe myself or get someone to understand. There's a layer of darkness that comes with surviving the darkness.
And doing things that good people wish to not look at.
Yeah, submerged in violence while trying to be a good human, you come out different. And to reintegrate back into the light, I call it stumbling around in the light. You've been in the dark for so long.
So apropos.
Yeah, flip the light switch on, and it is uncomfortable. And you very rarely meet people who understand the darkness. And when you do meet those people, I cherish them, because it's hard to walk around with that. And you judge it, right? Because you know you're different.
Especially when the feeling of I'm broken, or if I were not that part of me, I would be okay, or not accepted by the people that you should care about you.
Yeah. Yeah.
How have you learned, what do you practice to accept and be free to be you in 2022?
Oh, it's definitely service. Service allows me to...
Can I just, real quick, she didn't even skip a beat. Service.
Yeah. Oh, it fills my cup. It fills my cup, and it very much positions me to remember where I came from. And just because I'm not suffering like I was, doesn't mean that I can't reach back down in the depths of hell and pull my people out. So I'm trying to rally the troops right now. This is kind of where I'm at in my spiritual journey, and I know a lot of our squad is suffering right now. So 2020 was rough on everybody, but especially the feelers, right? The ones that feel on a bigger spectrum. They've all struggled through this. We all struggled through that.
Give me a little perspective on. So first of all, anybody who's listening, yeah, you may be going back to school right now, but you're also wise. You take care of yourself. You are smart as a whip, and you're a hard worker, and you don't take shit. How have you become that over the last few years? So you said, I want to go back. One of the things you said is, I went to jail to stay safe. And at that time, that was a way that you could be more safe than you were before. And then there was this period where, what happened next? How did you then continue to make it safe for you to grow in a healthy, positive way, or at least less crappy?
I was blessed with a very supportive family and was able to navigate our system. And they were able to provide health insurance for me when I was released, which is critical in the society in which we live in right now. But they fully supported me as I submerged into healing. And when I got into it, things got uglier, as they usually do. I presented a little bit more unstable, and for sure thought I was like a 30-day residential type of gal, and turns out none of us are. So it took about a year. I still do therapy, light therapy, right? 2 times a week. And then I heal some of my darkness in different ways as well. But some months are better than others. Right now it looks like 2 times a week, but I don't know, the beginning of 2020, that didn't look like 2 times a week. I think I was going 4 times a week. Just the ebb and flow with life. I understand that my healing is a priority. I am not going to be able to be an effective monster hunter if I'm not doing the work. It has to be first. My family understands that. They support me in that. My kids understand it. We talk about the terminology of healing. We talk about what that looks like for me, what my trauma responses look like. Everyone has educated themselves on where I'm at. I still present a little unusual to them because they're like normies, right? They can't really get it, and I don't think they ever will, but that's okay. So, but they allow me the space to put that before them, which is an incredible sacrifice. It's hard to do as loved ones.
I've learned that in long-term relationships, something that's brought a lot of health and aliveness to mine is agreeing is never the deal. It's I want to understand you. That's it. And I want to. And one of the questions I actually thought about asking you is what is there about this conversation that I can't get? Like, I don't get it. I can't. That people are listening, they can. You can speak to them. But one of the things we were kind of rapping about too is recovery is for everybody. You lose your dad, your kid gets sick, you don't get accepted to school, you get whatever it is, it matters for everybody. And just helping your family become more aware, you don't even know, but they've touched other people and then been able to spot it and talk about it in conversations in a more capable way because of you.
I've got to tell you this story, and it really has not a lot to do with what we were intending, but it has everything to do with the comment you just made. So my son, Gabe, and he's incredible. He's an incredible 21-year-old. I was doing this project with this young boy in my other son's grade school. It's like Project Empathy. They go and they do outreach with homeless people and just try to like normalize that relationship. And my son wanted to do it, so we signed up for it, and we ended up in a different county, like way far away from home. And we met this man, and we had pizza with him, and he was homeless, and he struggled. And I kind of let my youngest have this conversation. But as the night unfolded, we identified that he knew my son, Gabe. Gabe worked at a place called the Donut Star. And Gabe used to let this homeless man in, and he would give him the faulty donuts, and he'd give him water and just let him chill, let him get out of the cold, and for hours and hours at a time. And my son had made such an impact on this man that he never forgot him. And I just couldn't believe it. This is how my source shows up in my life today. I hear the communication, I hear it happening. It's bold, it's brave, it's like slapping me in the face today, right? But that pizza date was a reminder of what honesty and vulnerability looks like with my kids. Yeah, they're magical.
The reason I'm in this seat with you right now is I will not leave this life without showing up as all me. And what got me from a place of deep depression and questioning whether my life even needed me was I have to give my gifts and talents to my kids. Mm-hmm. And we don't live for our kids, but we live for our kids. And we become those people that they need, because we don't, at some point in the future, when you're not around, they're going to need that person, and how you showed up matters, and how you show up now matters.
Yeah, they're able to transmute the trauma that they've been through themselves, right? Both through addiction and incarceration. They've been through a lot. My boys are strong, and sheltering them from those experiences or carrying the guilt because of it, I can see today that they were able to do a lot with that. And that is really kind of the whole mission of what I'm doing right now, is utilizing darkness and trauma experience, taking what was horrible, right, like Hollywood-esque trauma, and utilizing it for something pretty spectacular. And if I can do more good than it was bad, then I won.
Then we win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was definitely worth it then.
Getting ready to speak with you. First of all, thank you. I felt the big magic before you came in. I feel your indomitable spirit and how that to become, Mila Jovovich doesn't become a super action star monster hunter by just being all out crazy. And it's planned, it's strategic. You got to learn. You got to see where you can do the most effect. You got to work as a team. You got to lead in your own life, do your own work. Getting ready for this, one of the big takeaways for me is sex trafficking, sex abuse, harming people in that way. It happens to good families and not good families, families that are mentally unstable and families that aren't, to middle class, it is all around us all the time. Mm-hmm. At this stage of the game, in this 2022, it's all around us all the time. Tell me more about recognizing it, because I bet if I put a line of people up there, you could pick out who you need to be aware of, and we wouldn't trust. If you put a line of people up there, I could pick out the soccer players. I'm a soccer player. I can just see them. And a line of women, I can tell you who's codependent, because I'll be attracted to them, right? I know you know what to see or what to look for. How can I watch out in my world for that. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. And this is constantly the question, right? Which is almost the most difficult for me to answer because I'm not looking at it from an educator's point of view. I'm looking at it from someone who feels it and sees it without words. So this has been my journey, right? Education, trying to bring people to the table, answer the questions. People want to know. I firmly believe that 99% of the people care about human trafficking. They just don't know what to look for. And they would do something if they did. So, obviously, we've got an elephant in the room. And that is predominantly, we're talking about sex, right? Supply and demand. So we're talking about probably early on trauma, right? A sex addiction, a porn addiction, things that grow and evolve, monsters that get bigger and bigger in silence, technology addictions, and on and on and on. I think maybe less than 1% of healthy, well-rounded men participate in sex trafficking. However, there's a blurred line here that the United States is still having a hard time grasping, and that is the word sex work. Right? We're talking about strippers and escorts.
Massage parlors.
Right. Everyone's under the impression the gray area, the gray is the word consent. So I can see a well-rounded, healthy man participating in what he believes to be something consensual. But this is a perception that is gifted. It is put up and put in a pretty bow. Like, here is a consensual participant. My trafficking took place off the internet and in massage parlors and strip clubs. So we have to start defining consent. Would a woman or a man participate in this if they felt like they had another option? You're gonna scrape off almost all of it. Now, are other people making money off these individuals? Yes, technically, I believe that would be considered trafficking. If you're benefiting financially from this industry, you're participating in it. Are you a trafficker? I think by definition, yes. But how we feel about traffickers are more dangerous, right? They're more violent. There's people picture shackles and cages, and I'm here to tell you and everyone who is listening today that psychological cages, psychological chains are far more effective. So this is a strategic grooming process, and it takes time. And it seems to be a universal language that these traffickers are using. But it does start with our most vulnerable populations, ones that can be exploited, the ones that are invisible, the ones that get forgotten, right? The ones that people won't look for. This is where it starts.
Which means somebody you don't even know. Maybe you don't ever see Latino people because you don't speak Spanish, so you don't see them. It could also be that teenage girl or that young 20-something boy who's awkward or withdrawn or doesn't, get a joke. I mean, it's not just people who are on the margins. It's people who don't feel seen, or they think that you're supposed to like people back that like them or show interest. The grooming part of it, so tell me a little about how you've come to understand sex and power. Because if you're talking about psychology, I know that's a huge topic, but that seems like, from what I'm learning, when you talk about psychological cages, that gets turned into it's weaponized in a really bad way.
Oh my gosh, and this is we're talking about an industry that is more layers than any other industry I've seen. So there's so many avenues, and education is so important, but there's nothing that I'm going to be able to tell your audience in 45 minutes that is going to educate them on all the different layers of trafficking.
For sure.
I would love to stick to a specific industry, because we could go on for on and on and on. And nothing is very generalized other than exploitation in some degree or fashion. But if we're talking about sex and power, I've got to say that when I was being trafficked, I actually felt more safe in appointments than I did outside of appointments, because there was a level of power there. I knew who was in control of that situation, even though it was being monitored and watched by my trafficker, right? I knew in that moment that I was in control of the situation. Nothing was ever, very rarely, nothing was ever like forced upon me. That was maybe, 1 to 5% of the time, right? Where the trafficker dictated how the appointment was going to go. And that was just for like special people, right? But I knew that these clients, these customers, these sick individuals who are consuming sex workers or people being trafficked, they're weak. They're weak, they're vulnerable, a lot of the times very emotional, unstable. Not very often did you see violent clients. It happened, and few and far between. 1% of the time you could get someone violent, but at that point you're so used to violence that you prefer it over emotional anything. Physical violence is actually far easier to navigate. So yeah, you could tell they're
That's why you can see veterans is that comfort or that orientation with it. Interesting.
Yeah.
Because you've seen that psychological and that physical. You feel you've grown to understand the comfort in it.
Yeah. There's nothing that, even today, there's really nothing that scares me about physical violence anymore. I have experienced so much of it that I am desensitized to it.
Talk about, so you changing the language around it's probably a good way to start, where you said that the definition of prostitution has changed recently. Mm-hmm. I remember one gal, as she was talking about it, she started saying, I'm going to my jobs, and you said your appointments. Mm-hmm. So how do we start calling it what it is?
Very much reading the room. A lot of people, this is a new concept for a lot of people. And then it was sensationalized by political whatever happened. That was, I'm grateful for the awareness that it brought to things, but it very, very much skewed the reality of trafficking. Liam Neeson, this is not that. We are not looking at that.
You're referring to the movies Taken. Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we're not 99% of trafficking survivors or victims. This is not how it looks. And this is what people are looking for, right? I don't want to offend anybody in their process of coming to learn. When you're using words like setting up my rape appointment, it can be very offensive and triggering, right? And your audience is sensitive.
Gotcha.
So when I'm in a room where I know that people can handle the terminology, the realness of the terminology, I'll use it. But in a situation like this where it's going to reach many, I want to be very gentle.
Right.
Tiptoeing around in people's psyches on new conversations, new topics, can create some cognitive distortions, and we have enough of that. It's already very, very distorted. People are very confused about what's happening.
How do you make it safe to learn about sex trafficking?
I think the more we talk about it, the better. I'm going to allow the emotions to come here because it's important, and I need survivors to hear this. So we need more survivors at the table. And it's really hard for people to come clean about these things, right? Because just in 2016, we're using words like prostitute. There's so much shame. But they're going to be the ones to lead this fight and to educate. I can only educate about my experience. Yes, I've been taught about other things, but that's not fully submerged in that experience. I would love to have a tribe of survivors that have experienced all the different levels of trafficking, and we can come together and we can educate law enforcement service providers, the medical field, all of them. They need it. They desperately, desperately need it. I see legislation sessions happening just, I don't know, a couple of days ago, and things are coming through, right? Human trafficking involved. And it's important that survivors are at this table, because we can't have the same individuals who don't understand it leading this. Just a few years ago, it was the same law enforcement officers that were calling me a prostitute as opposed to seeing me for what I was. We can't have them educating. We can't. The ideas are ingrained in law enforcement. They've been trained to look at it a specific way. Untraining officers, that's going to be really difficult.
Well, the training is looking back at laws and rules and ways of thinking about things from the 1800s and 1900s to get them to look forward, driving, looking through the front windshield instead of looking in the rearview mirror is what you're talking about.
Right. As well as victims.
Ooh, tell me more about that. How does a victim start living? Another thing I learned, thank you, is that women were making suicide attempts after they escaped, not while they were being forced to do whatever they were told. It was when they were free that they attempted the suicide.
Yeah, I can relate with that as well. And there was grace in drugs at the time.
Amen.
Yeah. So I know it's hard for a lot of people to understand because addiction is such a dark place, but the ability to leave was the only breath that you can get. So when you take them from these environments and you don't have the wraparound care set up and the resources aren't there, you put them in a more dangerous situation. And that's where we're at, right? The fight for aftercare for survivors. We're not there yet. Utah does not have a level 1 facility for survivors.
What's a level 1 facility?
They can manage psych, detox, residential, all what it takes to stabilize a survivor. We're talking about many, many layers. There's addiction, there's mental health, there's Stockholms, right? They still believe that they want to love and protect their abuser. There's so much going on. And you have insurance companies that are like, oh, we'll do 45 days, right? Not going to work. It's not going to work. There's nonprofit organizations. How are they going to be able to fund 6 months worth of residential care for an individual? We are dropping the ball. What is the point of doing a year's worth of investigation, prosecution even, and not being able to present a stable survivor? What is the point?
Kayla Bettles, we had her on a few months.
Love her. Shout out Kayla.
Right?
Yeah, she's great. She's great.
She pointed out the precariousness and danger of extricating somebody from a situation without having something in place, that it becomes more dangerous for them initially or at that time.
Right. So this is very much criminal.
And you had family to help support and meet those needs too.
Right. Well, and I didn't feel confident enough to have family involved until I felt safe. We're talking about criminals. We're talking about violent criminals who have been threatening your family for a long time. Right? And they've lost control. And now, you didn't present to court, so they're out walking around in the same city. It's intense. It's very, very intense. So it leaves them very, very vulnerable. Very vulnerable. And you're not meeting the needs of their mental health. They know how to escape feelings of fear and insecurity and dread, and it's through drugs. And I don't blame them.
Good.
Whatever breath that they can get, I I support and I understand. So there's no sense in ripping them out of that environment if we're not fully prepared to wrap around care and a landing pad for a long time. Some survivors need multiple years. So it's not set up. It's not funded. It's not set up. People are not educated. We're flopping in and out of primary mental health, primary substance use. It's both, and they need to be treated separately. Where is that place? And which insurance company is going to pay for that?
Because it takes as long as it takes.
Who has the scholarship on the back end? There's not one place, facility, organization, insurance company that can do this alone. If we are going to address human trafficking in America, we're talking about the United States of America, the largest consumer of child trafficking, child pornography, sex trafficking. We are the largest consumer.
Learned that this week too.
This has got to stop. And there's lots of levels, right? We're not just talking about victims that need to be treated. We need to talk about the consumers. That's a whole nother beast. There's a lot of people hurting right now.
So let me ask you this. As winning together is also about what can I do and being insanely practical on it. As we were preparing, I was thinking, something that people maybe could do is stop watching horror movies. Get to know yourself. So often we want people to get. If people just get me, I'd be okay. Well, I don't even get me. So if I don't get me, how can I expect you to get me? But the more I get me, the more I can get you. And a lot of what I see is be a healthy person. If you're a healthy person, your bandwidth is not so taxed with dumb shit. Mm-hmm. And you can see somebody when they're in trouble. You'll be sensitive or available to be supportive and be that kid that gives donuts to that guy in a warm place in that small way.
Yeah. I'm with you 100%. I think the monster's too big for us, our generation, to tackle. It's definitely going to start with the next generations. I think a great first step would be to check in with your pornography use. How are you using pornography? Are you having appropriate sex? Have things escalated? Have they gotten gray, gotten dark? Are you ashamed to talk about some of the things you've been doing sexually? Is
that the hallmark? If you're ashamed to talk about it?
If it's too dark for you to have a conversation with people that you trust, then something is ringing in your body, right? Something is talking to you. You've got to find out what that is.
Tell me about that ringing in your body, what that feels like or looks like.
I am constantly looking for warning systems, right? I trust my body. There's this book called Blink. It talks about the human body being able to identify anything long before the human brain does. So today, obviously, because of trauma and many other things, I'm reading my environment as soon as I walk in. And it started as a trauma response, and now I've quickly identified that it's a tool that I use and I love, and I won't turn off. Identifying energetically what's happening around you, and then what's happening energetically inside of you. There's cues. The body speaks a different language. It's not going to talk to you with language like we are today. It speaks a very, very different language, like far beyond this universe language. And you've got to start learning how to speak it. Otherwise, you are being reckless, both with yourself and with our community. And we're talking about 2022 here. We're 2 months in? Everybody is tired. We're tired of 2022, and it's February. We need to start treading a little bit lightly here. I listen to yourself, It's okay. It's okay to stop and check in.
It's you want to live, or if you want to be alive in your life while you're living, your body knows the way. Mm-hmm. The more influence you have around you that says don't listen to your body, or your body should be like that, or look at your body, if it was different, you'd feel better. That's where, for me, when I thought about what I can do walking out of this, that's where it starts. Tell me about when does honoring your sensuality and your sexuality pass into pornography?
That's a good question. I think a great place to start would be don't watch porn for 7 days.
Yeah, do a fast of some sort.
How much anxiety is that producing? And how did you experience intimacy that week? Because intimacy speaks all languages. Intimacy translates into all relationships, all experiences. So if you're having anxiety attacks or you feel like you need to take a jog around the building because you can't watch porn for 7 days.
More importantly, overeating, or now you're watching horror movies or action movies about death and destruction.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's everyone, right? There's going to be a different avenue for everyone. But I really, really want people to start. This is the thing. This is my warning to everyone listening right now that wants to be involved in this but doesn't know how. Okay, because I hear a lot of people want to. Do not open this door unless you are prepared to never close it again. Once you see and hear and understand, conceptualize what is actually happening in your neighborhood, you will never be able to sleep at night unless you're doing something about it.
Unless you're becoming a dangerous person.
Right. So if you are not in a position to accept that as something that's going to forever be a part of your life, you cannot open that door right now. And that's okay. That's okay. I mean, if you're more like, I'm down to, I want to sell some T-shirts, or I want to like participate in fundraisers, or you can do surface stuff for sure. But this goes deep. This goes very, very deep.
Is the irony that the door is already open in all of our lives already?
In some degree.
Pornography affects us all, period. Recovery affects us all, period. If you think it's still other people's problem, you are dead wrong, because you have an uncle or an aunt or a nephew or a grandparent or a spouse that is being affected by pornography, recovery, or some hole in their spirit. They don't have a spirituality practice of some sort. But pornography affects us all, period.
I know that this conversation...
Super Bowl, by the way.
Yeah, and here it comes. Here it comes. Here it comes. The event I don't give a shit about.
Me neither.
I do not participate in the Super Bowl. I know this conversation we're having right now is making a lot of people cringe, right? And this is a gentle process. We've got to go in a different way for everyone, right? We're talking about sex translating into shame, right? This is going to look different for everyone. It's usually, around the corner from some sort of traumatic event. So no human is going unscathed at this point. But I definitely want to be very flexible in everyone's approach to this. There's a place for everyone in this fight. And even if you're just doing podcasts, right, with survivors, that's incredible, incredible, incredible things. The waves, the ripples are massive. So there's a place. Not everyone has to be, there's many avenues to this.
Talking with your kids or your family about bodies and sex, and just talking about, you don't have to go to sex, talking about just honoring your body, loving your body, listening to it.
Yeah, honoring other bodies, listening to their bodies. I think we're really missing something in Utah, and that is normalizing sex. There's so much shame attached to it, and it's very much cultural, right? Like religious overtones, and we're seeing a lot of repressed sexuality resurface in dangerous ways. It's coming out sideways. What did you think was going to happen? You're living one reality on a Sunday, but the truth is 6 days of the week, you have access to the internet, and all the other kids have access to the internet, and the ads and the commercials and all the... Can you imagine the thoughts, like going through, being exposed to it constantly, but then judging yourself for not being able to control the thought process, which you're not going to be able to control a brain thought process. Try. Yeah. We're sending the wrong message to our youth. So,
what is the message? Or what's a message that you can help?
parents need to stop allowing free reign to the internet. It is a dangerous place. It's resourceful. It's great, but it is contingent upon a gateway. It comes with it no matter what. And I see some of these kids today, and 12-year-olds, 11-year-olds on Instagram using filters, over-sexualizing them, posts, and we've normalized that, right, as like an expression. But what we're doing is we're feeding the beast. I mean, I can tell you right now, I'll open up a blind account and I'll go fishing, right? I'll go fishing just to see who's out there, who takes a bite immediately.
Fishing means an account to entrap people who are in that.
Yeah. We're talking about a very setup. It appears as though she's young, she's over-sexual, these things. It lights up immediately. Immediately. We're talking within under a minute. Very inappropriate messages. Don't think for 1 second that your child there is not a door opening. They are reaching your children through technology.
Girls and boys.
Yes. Oh, yeah. I mean, this is such a sad situation for our youth. They're required to live with technology. They don't know a life without it.
They don't know.
They don't remember what it was like to have to try to connect. Their connection has been done through a technology device at some level.
Powerful technology, extremely powerful.
And disturbing, right? Like connection with a human being. Now you're taking it through a device. It's not accurate. And no wonder they're struggling, right? They live in a different world. And we have to remember that, right? You're not going to take technology away. We're never going to be there unless it all comes crumbling down. But we've got to find a way to support our kids and educate them and help them understand what they're playing with. This is not a game. They're on there playing video games and they've got their headsets on, and you've got predators on there reaching your kids on first-person shooter games. Having inappropriate conversations with them. We need our generation to understand how tech is used today by our youth, and then protect them. No kid wants to be. They don't want to experience that.
There. That's the truth right there. Yeah. Kids don't like it.
No,
but they don't know.
They think it's normal. Mm-hmm. They think that this is how people act. Mm-hmm. They think that this is what is expected, right?
Does that look like internet filters, smartphone limit, like restrictions? What is that? What's a couple things that people can do?
There's many, and you've mentioned a couple. I am on the way opposite spectrum with my son, and I will not let him buy. I will not give him a phone. He has to buy his own when he's old enough, and he can do that. And hopefully by then I will have educated him enough on the dangers, and he'll start to kind of see it for himself, like what's happening with, his own peers. At this point, he doesn't believe a thing I say, right? He's at that age where you wouldn't understand, Mom, right?
Which, by the way, does not keep her from saying it. So just because somebody might not accept what you have to say, or they might disagree with you, your job, if you listen, is to say it in a kind, loving, as best you can way.
Yeah, and let him grow up.
And let him grow. Yep.
Yeah. So I limit tech for my son. I take all his technology at night. I take his laptop when he's done with his homework. He is very great at connecting with individuals. He is.
Look at that big smile. You're so proud of that.
He is incredible. I'm pretty sure anyone who knows my little guy, they're going to agree. He seems to be like the crowd favorite everywhere we go. So super popular, loving, understanding. Everyone just wants to collide with him all the time. He is a connector of people. He is like the bridge that I've needed in my life. So every parent needs to decide for themselves. So we're not trying to push limits on parents. You know best. You know what's going to work best for your children. If it's internet filters, they have great things with internet providers. So Xfinity does a shutdown time that you can just set up. It's very easy. If you're having a hard time navigating apps and monitoring, then reach out, watch a YouTube video, find out, reach out to me. I will answer your questions. Every child is going to be different at every age, but you have many, many, many options. Many options. It's definitely going to start with gradually stepping into age-appropriate exposure to what the internet can be.
I like the shift for anybody who remembers what dial-up sounded like. And you try to explain that to your kid. If your kid, you can't explain it, they don't get it, then you need to shift your whole mindset to that. Like you said, technology's not going away. They're growing up. It's how it is. And I love how you're approaching. I can just see myself with my son say, hey, there's options out there. It doesn't have to be no tech, or I'm always going to use that as the leverage to punish you or something, because that doesn't feel good either for anybody. But you can start saying, okay, here's the options. Here's what can do, and just go over. You know what? I don't know what that is, but let's find out together and figure it out together. Where you can look at it as a problem to be solved, but not a you're bad if you do that type of thing.
Right. Our kids are so smart. These kids are smart. I think a great first place to start would be to ask them, hey, what has been dangerous for you on the internet? What have you experienced? You're getting to an age now where I trust you to have these conversations, and you know best. Say that to your kid. Try to fish a little bit. Make it normal for them to express some of the things that have made them cringe a little bit that they've experienced, and then don't make it a punishment. Like, let's collaborate with our kids.
Yeah, how can you expect to make it safe for somebody and rescuing somebody out of sex trafficking if you can't make it safe for your spouse or your son or somebody close to your friend to express what they're experiencing, and make it safe for them to explore that with you?
Yeah, and allow it to change, right? It's going to evolve and de-evolve and all the things. So there's never going to be one answer to any of these things, and tech is going to evolve. So, and I'm a tech nerd, right? So I really encourage people, especially older generations, you guys got to start educating yourself on technology. It's already passed us by, most of it, right? We need to catch up. We need to understand what we're playing with, and understand that it will reach you if the boundaries aren't set up. It will literally come for you, like a hive mind. It's coming.
That's exact. So that you're talking about being the monster hunter. We talk to our kids in that way. We say, hey, these things, these pictures or these attitudes, they're hunting you. So it's not just about you're finding bad things and they're out there. They will find you. Mm-hmm. They're meant, and they're the most powerful tools we've ever seen in human history to, like you said, put not only billions of dollars, but the smartest people in the world to find you and turn you into the product and service to sell. And unawares.
They have fine-tuned never letting you go either.
Whew. You and I talked about that too, you got to be, so preparing for this, I listened to somebody else talk, and they were interviewing somebody who had been trafficked by their parents, and they were 20 years they were trafficked. They started at 4 years old. He shared something. He said, I got to tell you and be honest, I was at a store and I saw a man be rough with this kid in the way you shouldn't be, and it wasn't okay. And the boy looked at him and said, and kind of with that look of like, help me. And he said, and he's a big guy, he walked away. He's like, I didn't respond. And I was in my car for like 10 minutes, and I thought, I got to go back in. But the boy and the man were gone. When you talk about your body and that ringing, if you see somebody in your world and you think, I should ask them, I should just step in, especially those ones who are a little uncomfortable, like, I don't know that guy, should I tell him how to parent? You know when it's okay and not okay, because your body will tell you. Does that ring true as far as people being able to help out and do different?
Oh yes, and I think for most of your listeners, so we leave for the day, right? We go about our day, we go to work, we go to school, we do all of our things, we run our errands, and it's like this rat race back to the house, go, colliding with individuals, getting out of lines, in traffic, everyone's like, it's way too people-y, right? We're disconnecting from what's happening around us. We've got to start opening our eyes. We've got to start opening our eyes, looking another human being in the eye, and understanding where they're at. Start looking at people again. We've lost that. We're all looking down at our phones. And it's a technique of disassociation. Like, we are disassociating from what is happening on this planet right now.
In micro gestures 1,000 times a day. And on the other end of that, and something, if you've come from a place of trauma, asking somebody to look in your eyes and just say, hey, can I just talk to you for a minute? I don't need you to fix my problems. I need somebody to listen or hear me. Or I want you to notice me for that. And receiving the compliments and receiving the help as well, instead of just thinking that we're asking you to always go out and get it. Sometimes the best thing to do is let somebody help you and pay you a compliment and uplift you.
Yeah. Allowing people to participate in acts of service is an act of service. Like, who are we to take away that experience for them? There's a lot of growth and learning and service, a lot of connecting, empathy. A lot is happening in the brain when we're doing acts of service. So whether you deserve it or not, you feel like you deserve it or not, allowing another human being to go on that journey it's a personal thing. Like, they're growing in that. And you'll never fully understand it, but I've tried really, really hard to not take that from other people. And it's incredibly difficult. It's so hard. Because there's still the internal programming of undeserving, or how I perceive abundance, right? Coming from nothing. Having a little something is great and fulfilling.
In the abundance work I do with clients, what I have learned is, if you notice the small abundances, the big stuff comes. If you notice how great it is to get a full night's rest and feel rested and safe, or that your kid is, he has friends, or that you can do some ritual to fill you up, but you notice those small things, the big stuff comes.
Yeah, it's definitely perception, right? Like, after a big storm in Utah, I think we can all step outside and take a deep breath and be grateful for fresh air, especially in the wintertime. You definitely gotta start looking. You gotta start looking. So the beauty is there. It's just so noisy, and I blame the internet. I really do. It's just so much information. The brain is tired.
You love how intelligent you are, and you love that about yourself. What are some rituals and routines that you have gotten to a place that you can practice that help you? One of the questions I asked you is, how's your nervous system? So if you're going from an experience that is fight, flight, high stakes life experience constantly, to, okay, now you have to worry about that, and you're like, well, I'm not really alive if I'm not in those situations, to then healing your nervous system and your body. So here's the reality, guys, is if whatever you consume, your nervous system consumes too. What rituals, routines have you put in place to help restore health and vitality, and take care of your brain and your heart and those things you really value about yourself?
The word ritual, it rings so true to me, because I have to do it. And my work starts at night, because there's a lot around sleep and darkness. Sleep translated to danger for me for a long time. Going to sleep meant I was vulnerable. Going to sleep meant I wasn't making money. It was dangerous. And it is the only place where I lose all control, right? In my dreams, is it all just can be and do. I have no say-so again. It feels re-victimizing. I don't like it. So today, I have this very, very strange relationship with water. Both on my, in all its forms.
You said strange, did you mean awesome?
Yeah, I mean, it's it is, I would say, carbs and water are my most effective therapy in the moment. I love carbs for my mental health. That I love it, but water in all its forms. So rain, snow, ice, baths, immersion, drinking. I do understand that it is effective for me. The world is sticky. Memories are sticky. Water helps me feel clean from that. And I use the word clean in a way of like spiritually. I am able to detach from the experiences of the day. So at night, it's tons and tons of water, wash my face, do like lots of different like routines with water on my face, and then it's a bath and sometimes a couple at night. So, and in that, I get to this place where my body is relaxed. I feel like all my accomplishments are done for the day. I'm giving myself a pat on the back, recognizing that it's night, that we've got some settling down to do. And then if I can get myself calmed down enough, then I can read. And reading is this beautiful place to me, and I've got to thank incarceration for that. It was and will remain this like beautiful place that I can go to and translate things the way I want to, in peace and in a sense of like secrecy and silence. And people also leave you alone when you're reading, so like it's a defense mechanism, right? For my kids, I've like put the book up to my face and they'll leave me alone. So
I love that.
yeah, like, oh, mom's reading. I'll come back at a different time.
What are the rituals, routines? So, well, real quick, what I love about you is you've been able to separate who you are and not identify with the thing. How have you stepped into being you? And then let's kind of stick with rituals. What rituals or routines have you put in place to be you and not the thing?
Yeah. So the thing right now that I identify now is a trauma response. They are still pretty embarrassing to me when they happen out in public. It's very involuntary. There is no rhyme or reason. Like, it just comes, right? The panic just comes, and there's no way for me to predict it. And trust me, I've tried to like pull the data. It is a random variable every single time. But I have found that essential oils allow me, it's a hack. It's a beautiful hack. Essential oils allow me to engage my frontal cortex by force.
It's the only sense it's hardwired in. It's
Yeah.
the only sense that's hardwired in is your smell.
Yeah. So I started to identify that I was doing it involuntarily on the blink, right? I was doing it on the blink. Like when I go hiking and stuff, I would like pull off leaves or like smell bushes. I was doing really weird shit, and people were like, "What are you doing?" And I started to think, like, what is my body like? Why is my body like? Why does it want to rip off this leaf and smell it? Like, what is happening? So I started participating in smelling the world, and quickly realized that it's coming. The panic is coming. It's coming. I don't know what's happened. It's happening. I'm starting to judge it. The anxiety is building. I'm going to freak out here in public at the doctor's office. Pull out my oil and smell it. And immediately my brain is like, what is this smell? I'm thinking, So the fight or flight is like tones down a little bit. But then the magic of 2020 happened, but the biggest trauma response I have is not being able to breathe. And I'm always constantly like, breath, breath, breath. I'm always craving this big breath. And putting that mask on, it scared me because I couldn't feel like I was getting a good breath, and it was hot and uncomfortable. But I also couldn't read the room. It was difficult.
Oh, wow.
People started to blend in together. I started rolling my oil on the inside of my mask. And I used the same oil for the first 3 months. And every time I smell that oil, I think, my mask. It's turned into like an anchoring of a comforting experience. So I looked into this theory called aromatic anchoring.
Yeah.
So what we think of Christmas, right? What are the smells? Like you can smell something and you can be like, oh my gosh, that smells like Christmas. yeah, it smells like an experience. So I quickly started to understand that I needed to hack my brain. I needed to hack it. I needed to like upload a different program. So I really started venturing into aromatic anchoring. And when I was feeling good and happy, you know, taking the specific oil, reiterating that memory, reiterating that thing,
Generating the chemistry in your body that you wanted to feel.
new neural pathway solidified with aroma. And it seems to be working. There always are the random variable rears its head, and I'm like, oh, here you are, like something new, of course. So the 7,000th thing in 2022 already, okay. But it's working. And from a perspective of doing every kind of therapy, this I have readily available to me all the time, right? And I don't have to like go over the thing. So I have control, and control is a big deal for me today. I want to be able to be in control of my life and my things and my feelings and my money and my body, right? It's empowering for me. I know it's a word that in recovery doesn't always translate to decreasing anxiety, but
right.
Yeah.
That's an amen.
Yeah. So I have to be careful, but the word is very empowering for me today.
Through doing my trauma work and the artist way, actually. Have you ever heard of the artist way?
No, but I feel like I need to.
I learned that, you know, in recovery, you need to surrender, you know, this, that, the other. You can't surrender if you don't know what it is to surrender. And interesting, that's how you get control of the thing, is by allowing it to be. You've gotten control of your shadow by learning that I need to surrender this thing about my darkness, and then it comes to you. And so that's really, you know, and it is called aromatherapy, which I think is, we kind of just talk over. And now to see you use that and the smile and the sunshine on your face, I'm going to ask you a question. Have you grown to appreciate the way that sunshine smells?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I have a big relationship with the sun. Being a ginger, I have a lot of feelings about the sun, right? There's got to be a barrier between me and the sun, otherwise it hurts. But the sun is, I definitely recharge. It's like plugging in, right? My soul, my body, my eyes, all of it. The sun is beautiful. I miss it so much. I saw a glimpse of it today on our walk, and I'm just waiting for the circle back because I've had enough, and I'm ready to like rekindle that relationship, bring it back.
Collide with that element, right?
Oh, so bad. Yeah, I've actually considered moving to warmer climates because of it, but
Maybe close to the ocean.
yeah,
Or big body of water.
yeah, big body of water.
Last year, the year before, I bought one of those high-powered UV lights for the wintertime to have next to me. It works.
Yeah, I have one myself.
Boom.
Yeah, I don't know if it's high powered, but
A 10,000, whatever. Yeah.
yeah, I don't think I've reached that level. I need to step my game up.
As you've gotten healthier around sex and your body and who you are and surviving and monster hunting and owning your shadow, how has your relationship with money changed? Has it changed?
Yeah, I love boring. I've done the extravagant life. I've done the like big flashy, all the things, right? I love boring like Ford vehicles, you know, like just a basic Ford, like 4-cylinder too. Money is, I do have a problem with some money. I like to throw it at all sorts of like random things. You know, my favorite thing to do is to find victims that have accumulated criminal charges. So they're clearly identified. There's a story. I'll start. There's a story of a woman who killed her trafficker, and she's in jail. And I love to put money on her books and participate in her GoFundMes. That is like my favorite thing to do. And then to be able to like write it off at the end of the year. So I love doing things like that. I love participating in a cause, you know, that lights fire in my soul. I'm like, oh yeah, for sure I'm sending $25. Yeah, I'm in, you know, on the cause. But I love that I don't look at money like most people do. Money doesn't cause me anxiety.
Wow. Yeah. Good job.
Yeah, I don't want or need or crave it like a lot of people feel like they do. I'm not after the chase for money.
The way you say that, the way you present right now while we're talking, you feel like you're more abundant and rich than you've ever been in your life.
Yes. Yeah, and that even translates over to like intimacy and sex. When you've been like submerged in money and sex for so long, you don't crave it anymore. As a human being, it's a strange. You almost feel weird for not craving it. So I do kind of judge that piece a little bit, and I try to dip into like a little bit of exposure there, but no, it's as we said, I'm on our walk. It's going to take something very, very, very big and special and divine and necessary to take me from the relationship I have with myself. Money's not touching it. Sex is not touching it. I am all in on myself. I'm all in.
It's the best way to be alive in your life, is to be all in on you. Because then you've got space to be all in on somebody else.
Yeah. Yes, I connect easy with others today. That's not hard. Connection is such a beautiful thing in my life.
I wonder where son learned it from.
Yeah. They're pretty spectacular. Right? You really got to meet them. I know most moms say this about their sons, but I'm telling you, anybody who knows these boys, they're gonna agree. They're pretty cool.
How I can't even put the bigness of you to smile so affectionately at how proud you are, at what a talent to connect with others is for you now, and that your son, what you've told me about him is he connects with others from where you had to disassociate to survive, and really forced to disconnect from your body and your life and who you are and everything good, and to come full circle and do your work. And we didn't talk a lot about this today, but the shadow work you've done and how important and vital that's been to you. So now that's a superpower for you. You'll put your ability to connect with people toe to toe with anybody else in the world, planet. Yeah. Wow.
I can definitely say that my revenge has been motivating me for a very long time. And I am about the end game. I'm not in a rush at all. And I have some unfinished business. And it's very specific, and I plan on accomplishing that. I'm not interested in doing it today.
Plan, you know it's going to happen.
I know it.
Yeah, you know it.
Yeah, I had a very, very, very long time to figure this out.
Yep.
Way too much time. And today, I can experience love and lightness and connection and spirituality, everything beautiful. But I do understand that I have a shadow in me that has also propelled me into the light. Working together with what I went through has given me a special, unique ability. And I cannot misuse that. And by shutting down the shadow, I'm losing a lot.
Your power.
Yeah. Yep.
As you've become aware, have you found that there's, in your family history, experiences of trauma or sex or being trafficked or abused or put down?
I think not only my family, but everyone's family, right? Humans are complicated creatures, and Earth is a complicated place. This is a really hard place to be in a human body. I think this life is contingent upon some level of trauma. You're going to go through it.
How can you become you without it? You can't. It's not about avoiding it. It's not doable. It's a sucker's bet.
Yeah. Spectrums, right? My trauma is different from other people's trauma, but it doesn't mean that it feels any different. So I understand I can endure a lot, which is a really, really cool thing to say today. That really nothing like you can do to me would actually scare me. So humans are resilient, and just because you feel doesn't mean that it's bad, you know?
Let's bring it home on something you said earlier. Tell me about working the land in front of you and how that's gotten you through to where you are now.
So, living in such a fast world with so many things happening, I needed to find a way to communicate with Source and my God, and that is doing the things that are in front of me. So, God will present, and for a very, very long time, I was your yes girl, you know, and it has kept me busy, it has kept me strong, it's kept me empowered, it's made me, like, I've met such incredible human beings because of it, and done some incredible things. I'm now at a point in my life where I've got to be a little bit more choosier with my time, and that can be complicated, what to say no to, right? Like, do I say no to the new missing child case, or do I say no to Congressman Owens? Like, who do I say no to today? That is hard to do. But for self-care, my human body is only capable of so much. And until the earth starts spinning slower, I'm going to need to start practicing no.
Which isn't happening. It's going the other way.
Yeah.
If you haven't noticed yet, by the way, it's happening.
The power of no is, I need to step into that. And I need to start trusting myself with it. And I'm a perfectionist, and I need to understand that there'll be endless amounts of missing girls, missing cases, violent crimes. I can't be all in on all of it, even though I would love to be. I can't. So who do I say no to today? It's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The reason I was asking about your family history is I come from a long line of alcoholics, and as I've done my trauma work and my shadow work, you learn that what happened to my grandpa is in my genes. I'm him. And to stop the cycle, sometimes we need to be aware that, I have a family disposition to this or inclination. And the more you can be aware, I found for me, it doesn't feel like such a heavy burden on my shoulders that it's all me. I did something to make all this wrong, and that it's just, there's generational. It's not just all you. If you push back stuff that comes back from generations before and just focus on your work, for anybody listening out there, maybe that helps you feel a little lighter.
A study of epigenetics, is that what it is?
Yeah.
We came here with some upgrades, right? We came here with some information, and accessing it is difficult, right?
It's a practice.
It is.
You're learning that you can hack now better than you could 3 years ago.
Yeah. Our DNA is very much like Google. There's a lot of information in there. And what can you use today in this moment? So not all the data that came with your DNA is meant for today's time, right? It's a book. It's a history. You don't have to use all of that. But some of it, it could definitely help. But you can go the hard way. You can go learn it all from scratch. I like ground zero type stuff. Let's get going. I support it all.
That is such an option I've used in my life. Choose the hard way. So there's this way, that way, and the hard way. Great, hard way.
How about we just burn it all down and start from scratch again for the 17th time?
Bring us home. What's anything else that we haven't covered that you want to bring up, share, point out, convey?
Yeah. There were questions about therapy modalities and questions about legislation and weak spots and systemic things that are happening in Utah. we have a lot of work we need to do, and it's gonna start with education. And anyone who is empowered by educating or wants to educate or thinks they have a great idea or avenue, please find a way to reach out to me. It's going to take a collaboration. We need the minds at the table. We need the thinkers. We need the doers. We need the people with political access. We need all of it. But therapy modalities that have worked really, really well for me is my therapist specialty is children. I go to a child center, and it's because it's more backdoor work. I can overthink and over-therapize the best of them, right? There's nothing that we can do cognitively that you're going to help me with. So I sit in a waiting room with a bunch of other little kids, and they offer me their crayons and stuff. Yeah, neurofeedback, Othmer method works amazing for me. I don't have to do much. It's very involuntary. So I've got to outsmart my trauma brain all the time.
For sure.
Yeah, a combination of art and EMDR at the same time. Also neurofeedback and EMDR at the same time. But knowing my limit, listen, I'm 6 years in. I'm 6 years in, and I just had a panic attack the other day. Stop judging the process. This is going to be a forever thing. Healing for everyone is going to be a forever thing. And it's February of 2022, right? Like, next month is going to hurt, and the month after that, this world has a lot to dish up to you. So continue down your path. Normalize healing and recovery for everyone. Make it standard, 30-day residential. Get yourself some time away from this fast world. I encourage everyone to heal in the very, very unique ways. I love all of it. It's beautiful and necessary, and sometimes you'll need some repeats, but there's not one modality that I would discourage, not one. But you may need to try all several times, and that's okay.
That is okay.
Yeah.
What's not okay is just quitting. Just keep going. Keep going. One contribution I can make to that conversation about becoming educated is get into your body. Go for walks. Go back to school. Sign up for that tennis. You're 35 years old. Sign up for tennis lessons. Go play soccer with somebody. Get outside and hike a little bit. Anything you do to get in your body, that's where your intuition, you can restore the integrity and trust there, and that'll help you know when to say no. It'll help you know what education things to go and learn and do for your people in your world now. So along with educating your head, so much of your day may be in your head, and that may be where your anxiety and depression are generating. Get into your body, and you'll feel different, and you'll be again with different solutions there.
Beings of frequency. Yeah, we are very sensitive. Our bodies are very sensitive. So
water's my jam too. So if you use an element like water or sunshine or nature or dark, another thing I love to do is put my hoodie on, get in a really dark corner, and just get right in the darkness of it. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't take me over. I can befriend it.
Yeah, there's something very non-stimulating about the darkness. It is quiet there.
What's something that I would not understand that you can speak directly to survivors or people that are in that experience or recovering from that experience?
I'm speaking to other survivors right now, and I know that it is absolutely imperative that you're heard and understood, and all the stories are going to be different, but there's the value in what you know and how to operate and where the information is. We need it. I'm more than willing to go to war with any of you. There's nothing that's going to discredit your story. There's nothing that's going to not classify it as useful. I want all of your voices to be heard when you're ready. And if it's an assistance in exiting from, I also need people to know that there are options. There are extraction teams, and if you feel, even if you're not ready to exit, there's still love and resources.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It'll be okay.
Yeah.
the Aquawoman of getting free. What I see in you is through that horror deal, there's something you protected about you inside. So you that are listening, protect that part of you that you know matters, that is some light to give, some reason why you have to get through this. Feed that. It will get you through.
Yeah, you're surviving for a reason.
We win together. Let a healthy, safe person see you. Allow yourself to see you. No judgment. Practice at least liking yourself a little bit. And let go if you have to do it by your own or you're on your own. We win together. Thank you.
Yeah.
Deep appreciation and gratitude for you.
Well, thanks for having me. I think your platform is amazing and how you use it and the people who listen. Those are my tribe members. They know it and I know it. So I'm so ready for this war. Like, put me in, coach, you know? Let's go.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. Call in 801-407-9998 to I Am Recovery, who sponsors this podcast, and we will get you connected. Thank you, everybody.